This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where tech meets mind, we ponder, we dream.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you because it's how we meet each other nowadays over Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Sure. And my name is Jason Ho, and I'm the CEO of Teklium Incorporated. And also I'm the author of the book, The Big Plot. And my passion is fighting against and something I shouldn't fight against with. And that's my passion. So I have invented a very important emulated quantum communication technology. And that is my current focus, try to push that technology available for everyone.
Well, tell us a little bit about when you say that quantum, what was it? Quantum what technology? Say it again.
Okay, quantum communication is very unique.
Quantum communication technology.
Quantum
So,
communication is very unique. Yes.
let's unpack that a bit. What exactly do you mean by that?
And I think everyone heard the quantum computer.
Yes.
And quantum computer is very difficult to realize because the cost and the functions. And now it's consensus. Quantum communication is the most possible application for quantum computers. So quantum communication.
Yeah, because I don't even understand quantum computing. I think it's like magic sometimes.
It's magic because sometimes it's marketing. It's a marketing.
So it's not really
word.
it's not really magic. It's marketing.
It's more marketing for me to say, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer in quantum computing. Maybe those people heard my comment, they are not happy because
Right.
A lot of people put a lot of effort into quantum computers. So quantum communication is the one, and people think is the most possible and viable application for quantum computer.
Mm-hmm.
And so quantum communication, the purpose is to obtain a very secure communication environment. And most countries put a heavy investment into quantum communication, and because it's good for the protecting national securities, to the military commands. But the problem is it's very costly. Also, that requires special hardware to make that. So we look at a different angle. We're working on the emulated quantum communication. And emulated means you use software. And it's not as fast as the hardware, but we try to make sure all the functionality, they are the same with the quantum communication.
So can you explain a little bit about how it works? I mean, I think some people have some idea of what quantum computing is, but
Yes.
how do you apply it to communication? Like how does it operate in the real world?
So quantum communication has two unique features. And first, they use uncertainty. And nowadays,
just like quantum computers.
Yes, that's the certainty. But this is a little bit for different purpose for the security, because now we have a virus, we have a hacker, they can easily hack into one computer. Once successful, they can hack into all the computers because they are identical. So quantum communication want to introduce uncertainty. That's the two purpose. Make every encryption, make every the encrypt box becoming uncertain behavior. Once behavior uncertainty, under the certainty rule, and it's very hard when you break one box, you can open another one. It doesn't make it universal. And the second is handle the key, because private key currently we need a human intervention, we need to distribute, and over the network always we need a human to take care of those process. But for the quantum communication, they want to use uncertainty to replace human, so they can have a mechanism to distribute key without human intervention, which means human is most dangerous animals. So without human,
I would, the sooner we're put in cages and kept in reservations away from everything, the better.
Yes, especially I have a chance to work with many people coming from the intelligence communities, and first word always they have to tell me is, I don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think it's prerequisite to be to not trust anyone, just to be in the intelligence community, right? I mean, you pretty much have to.
I will make them angry. Just like I say, quantum communication is a marketing word. I think I will make many people angry. You have more people angry, probably no one watches the show anymore.
That's right. I mean, if you have no haters, then if you have haters, you must be doing something right? Because you're doing something that's disruptive, and it's causing it's upsetting the status quo. And as soon as you upset the status quo, people are like, Well, I don't want that. I don't want that. Even if it's amazing disruption that's really going to help humanity, people are always pushing back against it.
That's the reality of the world. And just
Mm.
like a young child, when mother forced the children eat broccoli, see what's the happening. Yes, I think about the same.
You put enough cheese sauce on it, they'll eat it.
That's called marketing.
Yeah, that's right. Marketing.
Yes.
So tell me about how that would work in practice. So you have machine A, machine B, and do they both run some piece of code that will then create this quantum
Yes.
communication between the two?
That's correct. That's what we want to do. And the first, use uncertainty to establish a key between those two machines without human intervention.
Hmm.
And without quantum communication, that is not possible because we always need a human, and because we cannot trust human, even ourselves. Sometimes we cannot trust myself,
Oh yeah, we can
especially there's
definitely
ice
don't we
cream
can
and
definitely not trust ourselves.
especially ice cream and chocolate. I cannot trust myself. That's a lot of trouble to me. Yes, and
Exactly right.
and so without human intervention to create a private key, that's a very important part for quantum communication to make it secure. And so quantum communication is device-to-device communication and
Mm.
communication method. It doesn't like you have a private key, it's a golden key you can apply to everyone. They try to isolate. And currently, they don't give you the private key for yourself because it's very costly. And quantum communication try to make the key distribution, key generation become very economic effective.
And how does it do it? How does it do it then? Because it's like you said, it's very costly for the regular key generation. How does it make it cheap?
So we use the software, and the
Mm.
software theoretically it doesn't cost anything, and it costs my hairs
It's just
because I do.
all of the amount of time and effort you put into creating the software. That
Yes, yes,
costs something. But then once
yeah,
it's created, you're good.
yes, yes. That's it. I cost my hairs. So
Same here. I know the feeling. I absolutely know the feeling.
I have no complaint on that front. So, the emulated quantum communication. The first step is try to make a key generation process in the automatic and the algorithm. It doesn't need any human intervention, and the key generation is from device to device, which means every device have their unique key.
Mm. And this will this run on anything right now?
Yes, and actually, the emulated quantum communication, the software package is very small, only 1.4 megabyte. It's very small, so
Well,
we
that's
can't
nothing.
do.
That's absolutely
And
nothing.
yes, the cost hairs, as I said, and and this is a long story. Yes, making it happen. Once it's working, this is easy to say,
Well,
but before that happening, yes, it's a lot of
I'm
work.
really curious about how did you get here? What made you decide to pursue this over anything else that you could be doing right now?
And because I've been pursued by the espionage and the crimes, and
Mm.
this reality, I was really under FBI victim assistance program. It's not the witness protection program because I'm on the espionage event from our adversaries. And in that sense, and the criminal is a country, the country cannot be prosecuted, so I was put under the victim assistance program. So that
Wow.
sense, I've been chased by those real spies and for survival. So that triggers me have to do working hard, do something more valuable, make sure I'm very valuable. I'm afraid
Wow.
in case something happened, the government would abandon me. Just
Yeah.
like a movie says, you have no value,
So
government doesn't want you.
so can you tell us what you did? Or I mean, what did you do? Well, how did you get under scrutiny from these organizations?
It's very hard. And most people heard the espionage case, they would think just like a movie and they steal your
Yeah, it's like James
product.
Bond. You do look a
Yes,
little bit like Blofeld or one of those James Bond
yes, yes.
bad guys, right?
No, actually, they don't do that. Espionage case always carry out first, and they were through their influences to the politicians.
Mm.
They were through the influences through the government agencies. And in my case, very, very hard to believe. My case, and through the tax office, use the tax audit, try to collect our intellectual properties.
Mm.
And I've been talking to the people in the Congress, try to warn them, this is a loophole they can use this venue because on the tax office there are so many foreigners holding the dual citizenships. Very easy to find one, get influenced, and tell them this is a target, this is legitimate.
Right.
You need to do the tax auditing, you need to find out and what income is. And currently, by the regulation, the tax auditing, they can do everything they want.
So
So
it's a huge
everyone's so
loophole. They
afraid.
can use this. They can use this to come at you from whatever
Yes.
direction they want to come at you.
So I'm not the only victim. I already heard other few, but also there's one has been indicted and from the tax office. And but I hope my case can be heard. Also, let people know the espionage case. First, they want to use government agencies as two reasons because that's safe. Second, it's very difficult to press charges. And people think, oh, there's a spy. I can arrest that person, put that in the court. Maybe he or she will go to jail. In reality, it's not so simple.
No.
That's the amateur. For the really experts, they are powerful adversary to the U.S. government, and definitely have so many friends, so many influences. They can control the big companies. They can find so many friends because they are billionaire makers. They
Yeah.
can make so many friends with those influences, with lobbyists. They always can find their door into the government and find the right person and to target on the and whatever information you want to collect. Unfortunately, usually people doesn't know. So to survive on this is not easy.
So here's a question for you. So are these billionaires actual billionaires, or have they been made into billionaires? Really, has somebody, I mean, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I have this feeling that you've got, like, there's people who start businesses and they're starting to show a little bit of promise, but they're not super successful. And then the state comes in and says, okay, this guy and this guy and this guy, we're going to pick them and we're going to make them billionaires. But as we've made them billionaires, then they have to be beholden to us. Do you think that actually happens, or have you experienced that?
Yeah, talking about the elitism. And
Yeah.
yes, I want to make sure it's totally censored and banned. That's wonderful. Let's talk about the billionaires.
But that
And
happens, right? I bet you that happens. I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised.
because first the billionaires, I think there's a conditions. First, you have to have many friends. You don't have a friends, you cannot billionaires.
Yeah, you can't be an introvert and be a billionaire, right?
Second, have to be useful
Yeah.
to elites. If you're not useful, why do you want to make you a billionaire? No one wants to.
That's right. But
If
you have
were
to.
a
But you
billionaire-
have to. If you show promise that you're going to be useful at some point, then that's when they help propel you into the stratosphere.
Definitely, because if you were billionaires, you want to find another person to be another billionaire. Definitely, the first thing you want to make sure that person will not be doing any harm to yourself.
That's right.
So
what's happened with Elon? Did he go off the reservation, or?
For Elon, that's interesting topic. We can took two directions. First, and how he survived. His company almost went bankrupt. I think back to 2017, 16. I don't remember the exact years, but his company survived. The help's coming from China, and most people says Elon already paid back all the money he obtained from China. And those person made that comment is doesn't understand Chinese. I was born in Taiwan, and theoretically also I'm a Chinese, even
I
I'm
think a
against
lot
the
of
Communist
people
Party.
do not understand the Chinese.
No, and it's not a money issue, and they won't give you money so straightforward. They are not so stupid, and the Chinese Communist Party, and they are deeply tied with mafia practice in China. That's already happened a few thousand years, and for the American, only about 250 years in history, and cannot compare. There are thousands of years of practice. They know how to control people.
Exactly. And I find it surprising that people are so naive about what things must be like. Because I remember this conversation very distinctly. I was in Singapore and I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how a lot of Americans think that China will overtake the States. And he says, you do not understand anything about China. No American knows anything about China, no matter what. And it's like you're just scratching the surface of this. And I think it's true. I mean, it's almost impossible for us to really know what's going on.
Yeah, even Chinese doesn't understand themselves. That's the reality.
That's part of the idea. That's the whole idea, right?
That's the reality. Like and you're American, I'm American. Even we cannot understand our nation, right? This is so complicated.
Oh yeah. Half the time we can't understand what's going on.
Only thing we know, we have to pay tax. If
That's
we don't
right.
pay tax, that would be big trouble. And other than that, we have very little involvement with our government.
Yeah. Yeah. Although maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll have no taxes and we'll just have tariffs.
Oh,
That makes
because
things
the
even
finger
worse. Who
crossed,
knows?
the finger crossed that if Trump can fulfill his promise, it's going to abandon the income tax.
Well, that would be interesting. I would love to see that, but it's got to be replaced by something else, right? I mean, you can't just have. Can we even afford to get rid of the income tax? Probably not, right?
Yeah, I think we have been double taxed because we already pay sales tax, and the
Yes.
company already paid and profit tax. Why we still need to pay income tax? I think we've been double taxed, but this is not a healthy topic, and also it's not a welcome topic. This is
So
not a welcome topic talking to billionaires.
yeah, exactly. So you were talking about so this drove you to, so because of, you wanted to have this communication between machines, that's what drove you to, you wanted this secure communications medium
Yes,
between
and
machines. That's what drove you to it?
yeah, because I've been punished enough from the espionage activities.
Right.
It's very difficult for me to find out secure way to talk to anyone, and this is not from my word. This is from our intelligence agencies. I've been watched and carefully, and from the adversaries, there are hundreds of people watching me daily.
Mm.
And so that sense, I cannot find a way I can easily communicate with people, and that's the
Without
first
being watched,
being watched
without the
without
communications
being.
being watched, right?
Yes, and now I give up because I know they know everything I'm doing, and probably it's very hard for people to understand that feeling. And like I just booked in a hotel, and at the same time, people release the video on the social media and telling me, "Oh, I'm suddenly and traveling here. I find out that Jason Ho living in the hotel room, and find
Oh,
out and his room's window and just publish the window." And definitely they will not mention my name because they are professional. They won't be caught. And
right.
that feeling, wherever you go and wherever you do, and like you go to a restaurant for lunch, immediately their social media will publish the picture of that restaurant. Oh, this
Yeah.
restaurant, what kind of food is good,
Yeah.
what kind of food is bad. And so that feeling and definitely make me feel this is an important uh, technology to help people, to protect people, and to protect those vulnerables.
Which, if you think about it, I mean, everyone thinks that we're not living. They go, "Oh, China's definitely a surveillance state. There's so much surveillance going on there." But we have as much, or if not more, surveillance happening right here in the United States. And not only that, the surveillance is actually coming from. It isn't coming from state agents. It's coming from just regular people who are tracking other people, right?
And the two things of it, and the two things of that. First, China surveillance and the foreign surveillance is more important for domestic. Probably
Mm,
people doesn't know, and they will put 100 times effort to surveil the world than survey their own people. So
right.
you think surveil their own people is very serious and severe, then you can imagine how much effort they put surveilling us
Oh yeah,
outside of China.
absolutely, absolutely.
And first, where the surveillance technology coming from?
Mm,
All U.S. companies.
yeah,
Unfortunately, all U.S. companies. The billionaires mentioned about
exactly.
how they can do such wonderful surveillance, why they've been so powerful. They have the best and face recognition, the best and the biometric detection. Where are those technology coming from? It's coming from the
It's
U.S.
all coming
and
from
the
here. That's right.
billionaires helping them. And this is ecosystem, and no one want to talk about it. And only,
But it's
only,
happening.
only
It's happening everywhere.
Yes, it's happening everywhere, but I mean, no one talk about the technology coming from the US.
Mm.
That's what
Yeah,
I
I mean,
meant.
it's like everyone thinks we're the good guys and they're the bad guys, but that's not the case. There's bad guys everywhere and there's good guys everywhere.
No, this word only have two levels: is the person in control and the person being in control. There's
Right.
only two levels,
Yeah.
and
So there's no good
unfortunately,
guys or bad guy.
yeah, person in control, unfortunately, very little numbers, and it's a handful of numbers, and probably those names in just a few pages we can fill those names. But the person being in control, just like you and me, and we just struggling. So that's
Exactly.
my motivation to do and emulate the quantum communication. I want to
So
change the aspect. Yes.
and this is for sort of personal point-to-point communications or broadcast communications among some kind of a network so that you and someone else can communicate, or how does it actually work in practice?
First, we abandon the concept of everything depending on cloud. So this is
Mm,
a true device-to-device communication. And device-to-device communication, there's some issue because, and this is a little bit technical. I try to explain. And currently, we are using the IP address, the version for IPv4. IPv4 doesn't have enough IP address, so we have to share IP address with certain service providers. And so we have a network address and the translation table, NAT.
Yeah.
We need those NAT to help to access to the internet. For the device-to-device communication, and because there's a firewall and there's an address translation, to bypass NAT is not easy, because if you talk to the fixed address, IP address, they're very simple, like Google, Amazon, Apple, that's very straightforward. They have a fixed address location you can talk to. But if your phone talk to another phone, then based on the mercy of the NAT, based on the firewall, if they don't allow you, you cannot get connected. And luckily, and in America, as we tested, and most place we can have a device-to-device connected, but we still have trouble to connect device from the US to China. But inside China also looks like they can connect device to device. So first, device-based. We don't use cloud.
It's just getting through the Great Firewall is the problem. Is that it?
Not only Great Firewall, also some business firewall also we have run into problem. We call it symmetric and asymmetric firewall. It's how the protocol, how we answer those packets, because for symmetric and the routers, they will keep changing their port numbers. In that case, we cannot have our packet going through and the firewall through the routers unless we know the accurate port number, which is not possible because they won't publish the port number to outside. So this is and difficulties we face. Not only Great Firewall, it's not very much magic, and it's the same as big company use symmetric routers. It's really very difficult for us to do the device-to-device communication. But for the general use, if you are not inside a big company, if you're not inside the government facility, if you're not behind the Great Wall in China, and usually you should be able to communicate to each other without too much issues.
So if I have I have a phone, I have a device with this on it, and you have a device with this on it. No matter what networks we traverse over, that whole communication is completely encrypted.
That's correct. That's the purpose for quantum communication. Everything is encrypted, and everything not only encrypted, also encrypted by the device-to-device private keys.
So how different is this? Because I mean, people have talked about other sort of communication methods like Telegram and Signal and things like that. They're supposedly encrypted, right? Point-to-point encrypted. How does this differ from something like that? I mean, I know for sure that those other solutions aren't really point-to-point encrypted, but how would it compare? Say, if a layperson wanted to know, like, why didn't I just use Telegram? Why would I use what you have?
Point-to-point encryption is not magic. The key is how you generate a key.
Right.
And so we have two things make a very different. First, the key generation without human intervention. That's first part. And second, for quantum communication, and there's a second property that's quite important called entanglement. Entanglement is
quantum.
The root. Yes, the root to make a quantum communication.
Spooky motion at a distance, right?
Yes. And the entanglement, the purpose is if you open the packet, the other side will immediately know. And because two particles entangled.
So you're using quantum particles to detect whether these things are
in quantum communication. That's correct. In quantum communication, they do that. And so when we do the emulate quantum communication, that's the most difficult part. How we emulate the entanglement, that's so difficult. So that takes a lot of effort to make that happen. And our approach is to make sure there's first we change the concept of data. We merge data and program together. So there's a data and there's a program. They become merged together. That's the first one. And the second, when you open the data, you need to talk to host. So no matter how many copies, how many digital copies there, no matter it's online, offline, if one data being opened, the other data won't be open again. So we call it read-once technology. That's very important. And for the emulated quantum communication, also the same is very important in the quantum communication. So that makes us very different than the and other Telegram, other peer-to-peer communication, even Skype is a peer-to-peer communication, device-to-device communication. That makes us very different because we make sure all data only can be read once, no matter how many copies available over the internet, over the world, no matter it's online, offline. But the trade-off is, first, we have to merge data and program together as one unit. No longer we separate what is data, what is program. And second, a data being opened must request a host and to allow you to open. Once you open that data, other data will no longer be able to open.
Wow. So I'm trying to figure out how that would work. So we say at two different devices. So we have two, and this would be textual communication or any kind of media.
Any kind of communication is
Right.
always read once. So you can send audio, video, and always read once,
And
unless you
it's
allow people to keep.
asynchronous though, right? I mean, you can't have
Yes,
synchronous
it's synchronous.
communication.
Yes, it doesn't need to. The people can and turn on that the information later on in the comfortable way. And before that opened, and if no one opened, and those packets still valid, and no matter how many copies there are, but the one opened, and no matter how many you keep offline, only one can be open. All others will not be open again.
And what happens when you do open that one packet and you have multiple copies of that packet? Do the other packets disappear or they become useless or?
Because as I said, when you open one packet, always need to ask the host. So other packets still need to check with the host. And if host said that packet has been opened, you won't be able to open again. So concept is simple, but to make it happen in the real world, it's very, very challenging because there's so many conditions. Because you can manipulate the host, you can impersonate the host. So and also want to make sure this is device to device, which means we don't have a very sophisticated computer in your device, or so we cannot take a lot of communication power from your device. So make it work, has to make it tiny, make it very, very and easy to use.
I don't know. I
And,
mean, you've got more computing power on one of these things nowadays than almost any laptop. So
I'm a old person. I like to everything as slim, as tiny as is better because
yeah, I
I
mean, that's the
believe.
thing, right? I mean, this is like
Yes,
from our, I
that's
mean,
correct.
we're probably around the same age and we're both like, why is this software so bloated? I
And
just
that's
want
the thing.
fast, thin, slim, very little code, but everything's just like everything's just so bloated. I hate when it's like that. It's just like,
I remember when we were university, when I turned computer, the computer immediately on. I don't know. These young people probably won't know what it looks like because
yeah,
you remember when we were in university, we turn computer, then we started typing. We don't need to
yeah,
wait.
yeah,
We can turn on, turn off anytime we like. And
exactly.
I always
It
try to
was it was
explain to
like that.
people.
It was like that.
Yes, yeah. I was just telling
And
people
do you
the
remember
computer
when we used
like
to have coding challenges where it's like how small could you make your piece of code, right? So it'd be like, here's the thing, and you just kept factoring and refactoring until you had it as small as possible. I don't think people care about that anymore.
That's correct. And the technology actually is going backward. I try to
Yeah,
explain that because it's a bold wave. Too many unnecessary things over there. Technology is not making computer, making the world better. Technology is make sure the billionaires, the big companies can make more money. That's the
right.
reality. That's the reality
Yeah.
you have to face. And also we run this program. We create emulate the content communication. Also, we have to make money because otherwise we cannot survive. That's
Oh yeah,
reality.
exactly. You can't forget that part.
But the difference is, and am I the greedy person or I want to control the world? That's
Right.
the that's
But you
the
definitely don't want it. It sounds like as an entrepreneur, I mean, you basically did what a lot of entrepreneurs do. They have a problem themselves and they go, this is a problem I need to solve for myself. And there's billions of people out there who want to solve the same problem because they want that secure communications. And I mean, you basically built something for you, but it's also applies to a huge marketplace out there.
yes, but I don't intend to be billionaires. Even that's good thing to be. I
Are
think
you
I
giving it
never.
away for free? Are you really giving it away for free?
Please ask me that again after I become a billionaire.
Yeah, okay. After you and
And
Elon are like having some coffee somewhere.
I hope I think I've been suffered enough. I think probably definitely I'll be different. Especially I've been persecuted by the Communist Party, and
Oh,
I have
geez,
learned a lot.
that's not fun. Nothing persecution
Yes,
in
that's not
period is
I
not
can
fun.
forget. And because maybe and the people doesn't know my background. I wrote a book. I mentioned I've been gunshotted twice. I've been kidnapped twice. I in my life
That is
I
nuts.
avoided death multiple times.
You're like the
So
world's most dangerous man. Do I have to
yeah.
worry about myself here?
I think we enter that path. Probably we don't need to share with everyone. Don't worry, you heard the program. They won't come find any trouble for you because, as I said, to kill someone without any trace is really expensive.
Yeah,
Usually,
we don't
cost
want
you.
that. We don't want that. We're
Usually
fine.
cost,
We'll
yeah.
help you.
Usually people is fine
So
because that costs about $40 million to kill someone without any traces. It's not like
yeah,
someone you find a
that's not
thug
cheap.
to kill a person. That's easy to be
Yeah.
discovered. But
There's a lot of
those
billionaires who could probably afford it, but not the rest of us. Not the rest of
yes.
us.
And so I've been in the very different paths, and through my life, I really hope, and especially in this age, not as young as everyone, and we don't have a lot of energy to do many things, and even have become a billionaire because we should have a very limited use of money. Doesn't like Elon; he's very energetic. He can use money to do many wishes. We have very limited time, so my hope is doing something I can contribute to the society, and to have everyone can come back to have their privacy and to have their choice, and to make a good program and a good solution for everyone can
So
benefit.
tell me a little bit more about the identifications of the people who are using it. So does it work? So would I be able to basically download uh, an app on my device? You'd be able to download an app on your device, and then we could communicate over this quantum communication medium, and I wouldn't be identifiable and you wouldn't be identifiable, and the stream of communication would be completely encrypted and unhackable. Is that right?
Unhackable is the challenging word, and remember, the quantum communication says
If you
is
used quantum
uncertainty.
computers, maybe you could hack it, but other
You
than
can
that,
hack
no.
one, but you won't be able to hack everyone. So maybe you
Right,
can hack one. It's always the information is hackable, just the cost. And the purpose is you hack one doesn't mean you can hack others. So
right.
maybe luckily they can break one message, but they can break all the messages. Definitely want to make sure it's as difficult as possible. So back to your question, yes, we want to make sure. I want to make it a free download. Everyone can use it, and we want to code this messenger called Flash, and it means every message you receive, it will disappear in a few seconds. You
Mm,
couldn't take a screenshot unless you want to use another phone. Let's go to extreme. We cannot help. That's human
right.
nature, and you won't be able to screenshots unless the sender agrees. You can keep that message, like where you're going to meet, and or give you some and a shopping list, or like a wife to give husband some to-do list. That's always happening anytime in the world. And then you
Every
can
day. Tell me about it.
and also wife want to say what the bad thing you have done to me and all your life. That message you can keep. Yeah. And
So
if
the sender gets to determine how long the message survives. Is that right?
and there are only two choices, otherwise the program will be complicated. They can and the keep for and forever, or they only survive for seconds.
Wow.
So
Wow.
when they
And
read
you
it,
have to, and you get the choice to do that of, can you do a blanket thing, or you do it each message as you send it?
you don't do that because by default every message it will be disappeared. And
Right.
after
So like
the
the
read,
original Snapchat, right? Because wasn't
yes.
Snapchat like that? Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Back to old days, yes.
Yeah.
And just
See, now I really feel old when you call something like Snapchat olden days, because that's like what, not
because
even
young
10
people
years old.
doesn't know that what you're talking about. You talk about the TikTok, that's more attractive. You talk about Snapchat, what is that?
Well,
So
TikTok was actually, now that you mentioned, you were talking about the CCP earlier, and we were talking about China. It's like, what do you think about this whole deep seek thing that's going on? What's your opinion on
um,
that?
and first, don't pay too much attention for what Chinese government says or Chinese companies says,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's what I thought. That's the first thing
it's
that
too
popped
good to
into
be
my
true.
head.
Yes, there are so many things behind. I just make an example, and why they make DeepSeek so magic, and they even say they open the source code. Sounds like this is a wonderful ability. It's a very good propaganda. First, we look at the CEO himself. When he was young, he working on the and the high frequency trading. How many
Mm.
people in China can do the high frequency trading? Think about it. Also, when
Mm.
he was young, he was sitting next to the prime minister to advise how we should do the AI technology. And ask any
Interesting.
Chinese on the street, do you have a chance to sit down with the prime minister, talk about the AI? Is that possible? And I think he's not a usual Chinese people, and he's
Right.
handpicked. And
Mm.
just like many famous billionaires, they're also handpicked.
Oh
Unfortunately,
yeah.
we had to
Well,
put in the
like we
news.
talked about earlier, famous billionaires.
Everyone has wonderful stories how they fight so hard, work so hard, become
Oh yeah,
billionaires.
that's right. It's all fabricated.
I have to break the news to everyone. Don't think about it. Unless you've been chosen, you won't be able to billionaires.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's the reality
exactly.
of this world. And
Exactly.
so it's
Although if it is
just
true that everyone is chosen, then people don't really have to work so hard because that way.
that's not my intention to say that. You have to work hard. First, you don't work hard, you cannot survive. How do you
No,
pay
no,
your
true, true. But at the
tomorrow's
same
rent?
token, it's like people look at billionaires and they go, "Oh, I want to work so hard that I want to be like that." But if you're never chosen, you're never going to get there, no matter how hard you work. So just
But
set your sights a little bit lower.
uh, but that's still something you have to practice. First, don't be a useful idiot. That's what the
Yes.
billionaires want you to be. Want to be a useful idiot. What's just you consume, be a perfect consumer. So you just keep paying, keep spending, just be
Yeah.
smart.
Well, that's
And
exactly what they want you to do. That's exactly
yes,
what they
yes.
want you to do.
You have to look after your back and to make sure you stand on the solid ground. I
Yeah.
think that's the nowadays survive. So I always talk to so many young people, and also I can feel their eagerness. I
Yeah.
explain to them today's strategy has changed. And when we're young, we're young. We
Oh yeah.
want to be an astronaut. We want to be president. We want to be billionaire.
Scientists. Yeah.
Yes, yes, we have so many dreams, and those young people today, I ask them, don't think about that. That's not
Yeah.
possible. Nothing could
Now
come
they
to
just
the
want to be
future.
influencers on TikTok, right?
You just and stand on the solid ground and be
Yeah.
yourself and don't lose yourself. That's the most important thing.
So
And
you're
find a way
saying
to
for
live happy.
DeepSeek, you should just people should not use it or ignore it, or what should they do?
It's for the AI. I always say this is a and two type AI. Sorry, I didn't answer the question directly. It's
No,
not
that's
so
fine.
straightforward. Yeah, the AI is two type, and in back and when we're young and when we say AI doesn't need any data.
Mm.
If you use data to perform some intelligent things or smart things, we call that data analytic. It is not AI.
Yes.
So DeepSeek, like OpenAI, like any other type AI, they require a huge amount of data collections. Then they need a very large number of people curating those data. And they need a data expert or data architect to put in the perfect data structure. Then the AI can use that data structure to answer your question or answer your request intelligently. Seems to be intelligently. But
Yep.
actually, those AI program has no comprehension what you are asking, what
Exactly.
you want. And also when they provide those answers, there's no intellect behind. They
Mm.
just provide answer
It
from
feels
the
like it,
database.
but it's not. There's nothing there.
Yes. So no matter is OpenAI or DeepSeek, this is just the front end service to provide you solution or answer and or inquiries from the big database. And always say DeepSeek, just like any fast food, for example, like McDonald's. And McDonald's, you go to the fast food, you can know everything in their burgers, in their milkshakes, you know the ingredients. But can you make another and McDonald's store by yourself? Definitely, McDonald's encourage you to do that because
Yeah.
it's enterprise and it's a food chain. They want to have you to open your own McDonald's as much as possible, and because more and the fast food restaurant there, and it's good for their business because their business model is not coming from those sales from those individual restaurant, but it's coming from their business model, how they supply those ingredient materials to those restaurants. The same thing
Exactly.
here. When the DeepSeek open their source code, it looks like so wonderful. They are so kind, especially I already see some magazines talk about are so generous. They doesn't like the American billionaires so greedy, and you see the Chinese different, they're so powerful. Don't fall in that. because there are big database behind. The DeepSeek just the front end, just like a fast food restaurant. Definitely want to use it, want to copy it. You can make as many as you want. You can change the name. So answer your question. Benny DeepSeek is right. Maybe it's right, but it's not useful because
Yeah.
today it's called the DeepSeek, and then tomorrow maybe called the DeepBop, and they have many names. They can always change their names. So Benny name is not quite useful.
Well,
And
here's the
maybe
other thing about that. Isn't it also a sort of a privacy and a data collection mechanism? Because everything you shove into ChatGPT or DeepSeek becomes the property of whoever you're pushing it into, right?
that's the source and that's the reason why AI is so important. Because I
Yes.
always tell people, and if you a human being, I go to your computer, look at the data, I'm a criminal because
Yeah.
I break your privacy. But what if I use AI to do it? It's perfect. And
Yes.
it's perfect with the law, and you have nothing. Your value
Because
is
who are you
not.
going to blame?
Yes, yes. And so the reason it was AI, and so sometimes they say AI can do many things good, and the most against is to use AI in the medical insurance agencies.
Mm,
Because if an insurance agent to deny your claim, if they made a mistake, cause you harm, cause you and even to death, and your family or yourself can sue the insurance company. But what
yes.
if it's done by AI? And I say you
Mm,
shouldn't file that claim. And I say I couldn't give you this money. Who are you going to sue?
yeah,
Because with billionaires' influences, with our very intelligent lawmakers, and we to make sure the billionaires' company is not responsible for any decision made by AI.
exactly. And the AI is not transparent. It doesn't tell you how it came to that decision, does it?
But AI can be transparent, just like a DeepSeek. They can be
Hmm.
open source. But the problem is the database they use behind is not transparent. They won't tell you that the
Right.
database is Genie, and valuable. So from DeepSeek, we only learned this one thing because and now the OpenAI claim and DeepSeek using the OpenAI database. Now
Hmm.
we realize the secret sauce actually is
Yeah,
in the database, not the AI itself. So OpenAI is not so open because everything is open source code, like DeepSeek open source code. But what about database? If
exactly.
database is open, and why you need to worry about the DeepSeek and pick into your database? If your database is not open, it's not OpenAI.
Yeah,
It's a secret database OpenAI.
exactly. So when it comes to that, then are they cheating? Is DeepSeek cheating by using OpenAI?
I think that word is general to every successful people in this world.
Everybody's copying off everybody else, right?
You talk about the billionaires, you talk about the politicians. we learned that from our childhood, right? If you don't cheat, you cannot be
That's
successful.
right. You got to
Sometimes you have
copy
to
off
come
somebody
cheating.
else.
Yes, because everything by yourself. Because no one knows is this really from you or this is by
Yeah.
someone else.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like
sometimes,
that's what I mean. Have you ever read Rene Girard's mimetic theory? He basically says that we learn by copying, right? So that's how we learn, even from when we're little tiny children. We learn by copying, and that works through our entire life. We learn by copying other people. So it's actually probably one of the most human things to do is to copy and cheat off others,
and
right?
cheating is more it's, too strong words. I want to use the pattern as an example. People
Exactly.
always have a great invention. I want to use the pattern to protect it. And myself have a 400 patents, so probably I have in a
Yeah.
position
Well,
to talk about the patent.
congratulations. That's awesome.
No, it's a cost nothing, worth nothing. If it costs a lot, it worth nothing
Well,
unless I
that's
can
what
make money
people
from
ask me sometimes. They go, "How much are your patents worth?" And I said, "I don't know.
it.
I
No
have no
value, no
idea."
value. Only cost you a lot because you pay the maintenance fee. And
Exactly.
that's another topic. So the pattern is not to protect your secret. The pattern is want to open your secret and to
Mm,
make society can move forward. So you make an invention, and most people has wrong idea. Oh, you need to protect your invention. You must apply patent. Actually, patent is not to protect your invention. Patent is try to open your development, open your
mm,
knowledge to the
mm.
society so everyone can learn from you. But the
Right.
patent is make sure you can have your fair share, and because it's under the patent protection, if people use it, they have to honor and your invention right and by theory and not by
Exactly right.
reality. And
Exactly right.
because I've been to the consultant to the patent lawsuit, and in the patent lawsuit court, that's very different than other type of lawsuit.
Oh
Patent
yeah.
law too, and the courtroom is very quiet. Do you know
Oh yeah.
why?
There's nobody standing and yelling and screaming, and
Do you know why? Because everyone fall asleep. Because talk about technology, it's
so
very good to put
I
the
know.
jury, put the
I
judge
know.
into sleep. So always patent laws is so quiet because so boring. So yes, patent you can have
It's one of
your
the least
patent right.
exciting areas of law.
So the patent can protect your invention right, but once you go to the court, first it's really expensive, very expensive.
Oh yeah.
And one patent loss costs $1 million. And
Yeah.
the second, you had to buy your luck because
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, even you go by jurors, they don't understand what are you talking about.
Yeah,
Because
exactly. It's so true. You hit the
so
nail
the
on the head
patent
right
attorney
there.
first they will say, "Don't think your patent have a good possibility to win because we don't know." And
Yeah.
how the
We
jury
have no idea.
will think about it. Also, as judge, how judge will think about it. So, and I think there's one time I heard the story. I don't know if it's true or not. IBM and Intel used how high their patent file is to determine who's the winner because both the laws
I would
and
not be surprised because I've been part of that stuff too. I have about 300 of my own, but it's like
okay, it's amazing.
it's
Yes.
like going through all that. It's funny.
Sorry, I'm not trying to compete with the number. I didn't do the study. I didn't know you
No,
have
no, no, it's
300.
fine. I don't care. It doesn't
I
matter.
should say I have 200 patents. I'm sorry for that.
No, you
I
got
was not
300. I
happy.
got 400. Come on, let's get some more done. Let's get some more done. Let's compete.
And so back to the stealing part.
Yep.
And I should say technology should be sharing. It's
Mm.
not a stealing. And technology, I always say this is not it is not a purely just human right. Because one invention, it takes a lot of resource from the society.
Mm.
And like we've been educated and we have enough knowledges, but we just look beyond America. We look at other worlds and some countries and doesn't have a well economic development. They don't have a chance to go to college. They don't have a chance to access knowledge so easily. So from the beginning, we are not standing on the same ground. And I'm not talking about the communism, try to make everyone equal and everyone can share whatever develop. But I want to say, in the current world, when the inventor invented something, they have no appreciation. And because all the social media make people's eager so strong.
Oh yes.
I invented
Absolutely.
something, I created something, I make and TikTok, for example, and they forgot and we become ourselves. It's
Mm.
not only by ourselves. This is society make us. So
Yeah.
for the invention, I agree, and we should honor the invention right. But also for inventors should have the right attitude to share the knowledge with the society, not just keep themselves.
Oh,
And so,
absolutely. And it's a
yeah,
building block, right? I mean, everybody's standing on the shoulders of everybody else. So
so
someone's going to take our patents and they're going to build greater things and greater things on top of that and greater things on top of that. And people don't do it for the money. I mean, the right people don't do it for the money. They do it for the betterment of humanity.
So that's why I tell young people you have to find the place you can stand on the solid ground. After
Mm.
that, and I hope everyone can have a conscience to be supportive to your friends, to your neighbors, because there's only two types of people in this world now, and the one is elite, and one is not elite, and this is reality.
The ones who are
And
controlled and the ones who are being in control.
just don't be the useful idiots.
That's
And
right. Don't be a useful idiot.
in that
You're
case,
absolutely right.
and share your knowledge with others and find your ground to share knowledge because I said true invention just like a beautiful art like Picasso and
Mm.
you can copy one and drawing from Picasso, but can you be Picasso? You cannot.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and don't worry about the sharing so negatively, and because and if you are a true talented person, and I went to Washington D.C. I remember that word, and and uh, and if you have it, you will show it, and if you don't have it, you can hide it,
That's
and
right.
the talent you cannot hide. So if you have talent, you
Exactly.
don't worry about the sharing because and like quantum communication, I will share the basic concept knowledge with people. I don't mind to tell people how do I make it happen, And but that US law, I cannot share the source code with you because that's
No.
encryption. Unfortunately, because that can be used by the adversary.
Yeah, we
But
don't want that. We don't.
I hope my and the concept and knowledge can trigger people, can do new kind of thinking to the internet, to make internet different. And
Well, that'd be fantastic.
I
I
have a
want to see
chance.
that.
I have a
Like,
chance to talk to the ARPANET inventors and through the intelligence communities. And I know the inventor himself is very, how do I say, and is not satisfied with current internet world, because the internet supposedly to be free, to be open to everyone. That's purpose for internet. But now internet is not free, it's not open. It's just
no,
controlled by few vendors, and they
exactly.
decide who can be on it, who cannot. So I want to make that change. So the emulate quantum communications first step, and I want to use that to build a platform that want to have that platform, and people can share their talents, people can share
Yeah,
their work products, and
I
that's
love that.
really I hope, and they
See,
can
this
make
is the
that
thing,
big.
is that you and I both remember the original days of the internet when it was more of a Wild West and everybody could get to everybody else, and there weren't all these middlemen, keeping content from getting to each other. And I want to go
Yeah,
back to that. I mean, it should be a pure peer-to-peer mechanism, but we have so many barriers in the way. They need to be eliminated.
yeah, because I remember when I first arrived at Silicon Valley, I can feel the vibe because people are so so much involved creating something new, and
Yes,
people want to create something amazing, and there's no limits. Look like the future is ours.
exactly.
But but
It was so
nowadays,
optimistic. I loved it.
but
It's different
nowadays,
now.
now it's different. Nowadays, you want to get some investment, you need to talk to venture capital. And venture capital, first you need to find an angel investor. It doesn't exist anymore. And
Yep.
next step, you need to find a venture capital. People doesn't understand what is venture capital. Venture capital like a bank, and
Yep.
like a bank in the past. And what do you have? What's your collateral?
That's
And
right.
what do I make sure 100% my money can back,
Yeah.
and it can be back? If you cannot, I cannot give you money.
Yeah.
So only
Everything is different now. But it's okay.
only
We're
like
gonna talk about the future now. So it's time to talk about the future. It's the year 2035. It's 10 years from now. What's the world going to be like in 10 years? Is quantum communication going to be ubiquitous? Is it going to be on every device so that nobody can listen in on our conversations? Where are you going to be in 10 years?
I want to be in 10 years. First, quantum communication can apply to everyone. As you said, people can come back to themselves. I always say a billion is privacy. So just come back, whatever our communication becoming ours. So I made
Right.
a song for it. And with a very wonderful musician, I will make it available. I call it message.
Oh,
I'll make it
you're gonna have
available.
to give me the link so I can put it on the in the show
Okay.
notes because I
I
wanna I
will.
wanna hear this stuff.
And
I
I
didn't know
want
you were a musician. You're a musician too? That's
I'm
cool.
not a musician. I just good to the tweeting the words, and the musician is not myself. I just make a sound and I
I thought
hum by
you were like a
myself.
real Renaissance man. You're a musician, you're a software developer, you're like a spy. Look at all those things you are. I love
I'm
it.
survivor. I'm survivor. So 10 years from now, I want everyone can live without worries, and
Mm,
everyone can live with hopes. Everyone can live with dreams.
mm.
That's the only thing I hope. Maybe this sounds nothing solid. It doesn't say everyone lives in the future. Everyone has $10,000 in the bank, and they can be a
Oh, the
backup
money
anytime they
doesn't
want to
mean
use.
anything as long as you have the happiness, right? As long as you have
Yes, I want to be more something more subtle, and
yeah,
that sounds like propaganda, but that's really my hope, because I feel like currently for young people, we didn't give them any chance.
right.
There's no chance for them to move up. There's no chance to
Agreed.
do something different. There is no chance they have dreams, because they've been easily shut down by the platform, by billionaires, by the society, and this is unrealistic.
Oh yeah.
And
Considering what happened with TikTok, it could be shut down just like that. I mean, people have built
yes,
businesses, they've made money on these things. And if it could be shut down like just like that by the state or by the billionaires or whoever, I mean,
yes,
it'd be
just like my book, and my publisher told me, and no one buying your book. You have to make a TikTok. And okay, I make a TikTok. So I made one page and spent a few hours, made one page, and upload a TikTok, 5 seconds, banned.
you're kidding.
Only five
Oh
seconds.
my God. What did you say? What did you say?
I didn't say anything. Now the surveillance know everything about me.
They saw
That's
your picture. It hit
my name, Jason
facial
Poison.
recognition. It hit facial recognition. They said, "Okay, that guy's a troublemaker. We can't have him on."
They know much better. They know everything in computer now. They know everything. So
They know everything about you already. So it's like when you
everyone, not
when I
only me.
downloaded TikTok, I already gave up all my data to the CCP, right? Like it
That's
already
correct.
just like
Yes.
harvested it all out of my machine.
They know everything about you. That's unfortunate. That's reality. So
Yeah.
that's the
So you just have to live with it, basically. There's nothing you can do about it.
there's something I want to change. So I want the people come back to the human beings. I talk to young people. Nowadays, go to school to learn. You cannot challenge anything. You cannot challenge the professor. You cannot challenge the authorities.
You
And
can't?
my
You
question
can't?
is, yeah, why you need to go to school? If
Wow.
everything decided, everything already know, why you need a student? You don't need a student because everything already settled.
Wait a minute.
The
I
wisdom.
gotta. So let's dig into that for a second. So is it true, like when you're a student, you can't challenge the professor?
And you have to challenge your professor wisely. But
Oh.
in the back days, the professor still welcome new theories,
Mm.
welcome new ideas,
Yeah.
welcome the new concepts.
Yeah, they were
Now it's
interested in
different.
expanding their minds and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not and
Now
general
it's different.
knowledge.
Everything's settled. Everything's settled.
It's
And
settled. It's not
yeah.
settled.
No, you go to school.
Nothing's settled.
Yeah, nothing settled is word. But nowadays, when you learn everything that's a fact checked on science, that's I hate it the
Mm.
most. How
Mm.
possible you have a fact check on science, and the science keep evolving. And 100 years ago, we look at 100 years ago science papers, we will say that's a joke. And
Yeah.
how do we know 100 years later? Now everything's accurate, everything's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing can be challenged. Nothing's fact.
Exactly. Well, that's what when somebody says trust the science, I really love that phrase because it's so dumb. It is like because science,
Exactly.
you can't trust science. That's the whole point of science. It keeps changing.
The science is teaching you not to trust any scientist.
Exactly.
It's not my word. I forgot who said it. Please Google it. Science is not to trust any scientist.
I
If you
love
trust
that.
any scientist, it's no longer science. That's the reality. They need a
That's
new
perfect.
ideas, new concept. Otherwise, the science cannot move forward. And
Yes,
so I
exactly.
want the young children still have a chance to challenge authorities. But
Mm.
those social medias, the society, the billionaires make sure you have no room to challenge anything. So
Yes.
10 years later, I hope I'll be successful. And if I can be billionaire, also nice. I can share some money with you. We can go tour around the world to talk about to make this talk show more
No, we got
global.
to do this. Is absolutely so. So where are you at right now? Is it ready to download? I mean, can I download it right now and start chatting with you
I
or?
think give us a few months. And when I was engineering days, always people told me the 6 month delay is not a delay in the engineering world.
Right.
And so I hope that can be downloaded in March, but it looks like still take some time. So I'm
Okay.
pushing
Well,
it.
but by the time this, I think I've got like 4 or 5, a bunch of shows in. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to publish, but maybe by the time we publish it, it'll be ready because I would love to. I cannot wait
Don't
to
give me
try this
much
out.
pressure.
I want to use
I already don't have much sleep. Don't give me too much pressure. I will make it
No pressure. No pressure.
I will try to make it because for money reason, I have to make it published as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And it
So
doesn't
are you
mean
going to charge for it or are you going to give it away
no,
for free?
it's a free. It's a free.
Mhm.
And but the money is not coming from the app, but coming from the service behind. That's I'm hoping for, to build a new ecosystem to help the younger generation to come back, have a dream, and have a life, and that's have a chance to be a human being. That's just not a machine, just not the numbers and likes.
I love that. I love that. And you know what we're going to do is that we're going to have when you launch, we'll have another show. We'll do another show and we'll promote it and we'll talk about it because I love the concept. I love what you're doing. And I think that this has got to be promoted and it's got to be successful because this is the future. This is where we're going.
So when we launch, you have to come here in person because we're going to launch in Asia first. So we have
absolutely.
announcement.
I'll be there.
We can do a live show.
We can do a live show. I love it. I've never done one
maybe
yet, but
maybe I can invite
work.
some and the prominent people to come to the show.
I would love that. That would be great. Just to let me know exactly when it's happening, and we'll figure it out. Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
10 years. Yes.
So, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way? The website or how to get you?
The teklium.com, TKLIUM, and also my book is the bigplot.us, and that's one word, the bigplot.us.
I will download that as well. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much. It's been great talking with you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited.
Likewise.
I love this.
Likewise. I hope
Thank
we
you
can
so much.
continue our topic. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.